Hi everyone, welcome back to Level Up English. And if you're new here, this channel is all about helping you understand real, everyday English. If you've ever heard people online or in real life using words that sound familiar but confusing at the same time, you're in the right place.
In today's video, we're breaking down 20 very common Gen Z words that you'll hear in real conversations, texting, dating, and social media, and we'll explain what they actually mean and how to use them naturally.
All right, let's start with one of the most common Gen Z words you'll hear in everyday conversations. When someone says deadass, they're emphasizing that they are being completely serious and honest, especially in moments where people might normally exaggerate or joke.
For example, if I say, I'm deadass serious about moving to a new city next year, it means I genuinely mean it.
Now that you know how Gen Z shows they're being serious, there's also a very common way they show agreement without saying much at all. Say less is used when you already understand what someone means and don't need any more explanation. And it often shows agreement, excitement, or full support in a casual way.
So if you say, we're leaving early to avoid traffic, and I reply, say less, it means I completely understand your point and I'm already on board without needing you to explain anything further.
When Gen Z wants to describe a feeling or impression without going into a long explanation, this next expression is extremely common. It's giving is a Gen Z way of describing the overall vibe, mood, or energy of a person or situation without explaining it directly.
If someone wears a business suit to a casual coffee meetup, Gen Z might say, it's giving corporate meeting to describe the formal vibe.
After someone shares how they feel, Gen Z often responds with a single word to show understanding and respect. When Gen Z calls something valid, they're saying the feeling or opinion makes sense and is worth respecting, even if they personally see it differently.
So if you tell me you need a weekend alone to mentally reset and I say, that's valid, I'm acknowledging that your reason is fair, reasonable, and completely understandable.
Of course, not all behavior is positive, and Gen Z is very quick to point out warning signs. A red flag refers to a behavior or sign that suggests potential problems in the future, especially in dating, friendships, or work situations.
For example, if someone constantly avoids responsibility and blames everyone else for their mistakes, that behavior is a red flag because it often leads to bigger issues later.
On the opposite side, Gen Z also talks a lot about positive signs that show emotional maturity. A green flag highlights healthy, positive behavior that suggests someone has good intentions or strong communication skills.
If someone listens carefully, communicates clearly, and respects your boundaries, that's a major green flag and usually a good sign for a long-term connection.
When it comes to dating and texting, this next word comes up constantly. To be ghosted means someone suddenly stops responding to messages or disappears from communication without any explanation.
For example, when you text someone regularly and then they completely vanish, leaving your last message unseen, you've officially been ghosted.
Sometimes communication exists, but commitment doesn't, and Gen Z has a specific word for that situation. A situationship describes a romantic connection that feels like a relationship but has no clear label, boundaries, or commitment.
If you go on dates, text every day, and act like a couple but never define what you are, you're probably in a situationship.
Not everyone behaves well in these moments, and Gen Z is usually quick to notice that kind of behavior and call it out openly. A pick-me is someone who tries to gain attention or approval by putting others down or by presenting themselves as different in a forced way.
For example, when someone says, I'm not like other people, I hate drama, just to seem superior, that's classic pick-me behavior.
Sometimes, Gen Z doesn't even need words to express judgment. Side-eye refers to a silent look of disapproval, disbelief, or judgment, without saying anything out loud.
If someone says something awkward and I don't say anything back, but just give them a look, that reaction is pure side-eye. So yeah, if this video is helping you understand modern English more naturally, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below.
And turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos where we break down real-life English like this. When Gen Z is about to say something honest or slightly uncomfortable, they often start with NGL that stands for not gonna lie.
For example, NGL. I didn't really enjoy that movie. Sounds more casual and less harsh than saying it directly.
Some thoughts don't need permission to stay in your head. When something lives rent-free in your head, it means you keep thinking about it even though it no longer affects your life.
That embarrassing moment from years ago still lives rent-free in my mind and suddenly comes back when I'm trying to sleep late at night.
Gen Z also talks a lot about mindset and self-prioritization. Main character energy means focusing on your own growth and happiness without constantly seeking approval from others.
Taking time to rest, setting healthy boundaries, and enjoying your own company are all signs of main character energy, not selfish behavior.
But sometimes people take the internet a little too seriously. Touch grass is a humorous way of telling someone to disconnect from online drama and reconnect with real life.
If I spend hours arguing online over something trivial, being told to touch grass is a reminder to step away and reset.
This next one comes up when something feels off or crosses a clear boundary. That ain't it is a direct and confident way Gen Z uses to show that something feels wrong, crosses a line, or is simply not acceptable, especially when someone's behavior goes too far.
When someone makes a comment that's disrespectful and then refuses to take responsibility, saying that ain't it clearly shuts the behavior down without starting a long argument.
Now let's talk about a word Gen Z often uses to describe extreme behavior, especially online. Unhinged describes actions that feel chaotic, overly emotional, or completely unfiltered. Usually when someone reacts far more intensely than the situation requires.
Posting long emotional messages late at night in response to one small comment is often described as unhinged behavior because the reaction feels out of proportion.
Sometimes behavior like that leads to something else Gen Z talks about a lot. To fumble means to mess up a good opportunity because of poor timing, low effort, or making the wrong decision at the wrong moment.
If someone clearly shows interest and you wait days to reply with a short, low-effort message, you probably fumbled a situation that could have gone much better.
Gen Z also has very specific words for how people reveal things online. A soft launch is when someone subtly hints at something new, while a hard launch is when they openly and clearly share it with everyone.
Posting a vague photo without context is considered a soft launch, but sharing a clear photo with tags and captions is a hard launch.
Not all Gen Z words are serious. Some are just about enjoyment. When something slapped, it means it was surprisingly good and exceeded expectations in a positive way.
If I say the food slapped, I mean I didn't expect much, but it turned out to be really enjoyable and worth recommending.
And finally, this is an important word to recognize, especially in dating. Love bombing happens when someone gives excessive attention, affection, or praise very quickly in order to create emotional attachment or control.
If someone overwhelms you early on with nonstop messages, intense compliments, and big promises, that's love bombing, and it's often a serious red flag. Alright, that wraps up our breakdown of 20 common Gen Z words you'll hear in real conversations, online, and in everyday life.
If this video helped you understand modern English a little better, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below to support the channel.
And turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos where we break down real-life English step by step.
Let us know in the comments which Gen Z word you hear the most, or which one confused you before watching this video.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of Level Up English.